Welcome to the Admiration Equation, how to discover what your customers admire about your company. Hi, my name is Tony Bodo. I'm an international speaker, best-selling author of The Complete Experience, and the creator of this 3-part free video training series for you called The Admiration Equation. How do you win new customers, earn their admiration, and then win their families, friends, and followers as customers for life? No matter what industry you're in, if you're B2B, B2G, B2C, and no matter what size your business is, how do you do all of that? These 3 training videos are going to be very, very helpful, so make sure you've opted in at the website listed in this video so you can receive all of my videos. In this first video, I will share with you the framework you can use to reorganize your thinking and planning related to the 5 key contributors to your customer experiences. I will walk you through how to quickly identify what your customers admire about your products, brand, and company. And then I'll show you 10 measurable customer behaviors that you can track to see how your company's improving as you improve customer experiences. What do we admire? Think of those awe-inspiring things that make you feel humbled. Things that are bigger than us. The recognition of great acts of kindness or goodness, witnessing a demonstration of great skill, or the performance of excellence. Things that amaze and overwhelm the senses, that leave us speechless. Things that inspire us to be better people, to emulate those who we think are truly great. When we are immersed in awe-inspiring experiences, in things that just raise our level of admiration, it alters our view of the world. It changes who we are at our core. It changes our perspective of life and how we view the world. When customers have an experience with a company that evokes this level of awe or admiration, their behavior changes. And we have proven again and again for our clients why admiration matters. So you see, when you focus on understanding and doing more of what your customers already admire about your products, your brand, and your company, you attract more of your best customers at a lower cost. Your reputation for excellence will go viral, and you'll have raving fans who seek you out. They want to do business with you. You could even become so busy that you need to expand your business, or create a waiting list, or even raise your prices because you can command that level of a premium price. Your customers will promote you to their families, their friends, their followers, and be thrilled to sing your praises even in online reviews. One of the best parts is that by helping your customers to achieve such a deep, meaningful level of experience in their life, it evokes their admiration for your brand, and this will change their lives and yours because your company becomes this source of joy, meaning, connection, and your brand will evolve with a higher purpose. It's not just about the product. It's not just about the sale. It's now about a much higher purpose in life. Some of you might know my story about how I got into this work and started my own customer experience consulting firm. I was working for a large public hospitality company, setting record-breaking results and customer experience when the economic crash of 2008 happened. The bottom fell out of our stock. We went through a series of cutbacks and downsizings. I lost my multi-million-dollar budget and most of my team, but was still being held to the expectation of breaking records in customer experience. The stress got so bad for me that I developed allergies to certain foods, and these foods would trigger anaphylactic shock. Now, if you're not aware what that is, my nervous system would start shutting down. My heart would slow way down. I'd have to consciously think about breathing. My body was dying. And it got so bad that this was happening 3 times a week because everything I ate seemed to trigger it. Well, one night I awoke in the midst of one of these attacks. I was in my hotel room. I barely had time to get myself the medicine. And as I laid there and I passed out, I prayed that I would wake up one more time, have a little bit more time with my 3 and 5-year-old daughters and with my wife. I remember deciding that I was done working in corporate if this was the type of stress it was going to cause me. It was not worth trading my life for. Now, I did wake up, and within 90 days, true to my word, I was running my own company. Now I have taken what I've learned and put it into an easy-to-use system that companies of any size in any industry can use to win more customers, to earn their admiration, and then to win the families, friends, and followers of their customers as customers for life. This 3-part video series is designed to help anyone, you especially, who wants to grow their business and differentiate the brand that they have getting started right now. One of the biggest challenges I hear when I talk to executives about this or business owners is that they say you can't measure the impact of customer experience on sales or profitability. Actually, yes, you can. It's pretty straightforward. Then they might say, well, to do that, you need lots of customers, tons of data, expensive software, skilled analysts. I've heard them all because I've been out there for so long. You don't. You don't need those things. And I'm going to show you why. Think for a moment about your best restaurant experience that you've had. As you were sitting there enjoying the experience, did you decide to stay longer? Did you buy more, like maybe an appetizer or a dessert? Did you return later? Did you bring people with you? Did you recommend it to others? Did you do an online review? You see, if you answered yes to at least one of those things, you've just admitted that you did something that was trackable and measurable as a result of a positive experience. So what's the real problem? Why don't we see this connection in our own behavior when we love a company, a product, or a service, and we buy more, we recommend it, we review it online, and yet we're going to sit here as business owners or as executives and argue that that won't happen for our customers in our company? The real problem that I've discovered is that executives do not have an organized way to think about their customer experience and the factors that contribute to that experience. So organized thinking will allow you to see what you could not see before, to measure things you've never measured before. To earn your customers' admiration, you have to use a framework to read and interpret their comments. The framework number 1 that I'm going to show you is a big picture overview of how to think about these factors that contribute to an excellent customer experience. Are you ready? These 5 things that you see on screen here work together to evoke a customer experience. They're not exclusive and they're not unique to each company. They cannot be addressed one at a time, but companies can see these and address them as a system that produces a particular outcome. Here's a simple approach. Think about it this way. Customers have problems that you are promising to fix. You and your people have to do the work. You offer products that aid the customer. You have policies, processes, procedures, etc. to run your company, to fulfill the promises you've made, to deliver the products, and to manage your people. And you have to take the customer down a path. You have to move them from point A, where they are emotionally and mentally at this moment, to point B and point C and point D. You've got to do this with your products, with your processes, with your procedures and policies, with the people you have. So let's look back at this diagram and dive in a little bit deeper. In order to develop an excellent customer experience, you've got to consider all 5 factors here. The first is that you have to understand the problem that your customers are having. And you've got to understand the problem that you're out there solving. And you've got to be able to say, I understand the problem you're having, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, and here's the solution that will help you. And then you've got to use social proof of like online reviews or testimonials, and there's a number of different ways we're going to talk about. Then you help them look at others who are like them, the same demographics, maybe living in the same area. And you show how what you have done for these other customers, you can do also for this prospect. Number 2, your people. Your people have the skill for the job as well as the emotional connection, like empathy, emotional resilience, mental focus that's required to provide the excellent service all day, every day. This is where a lot of companies fall down because their people are not prepared to provide that level of emotional connection, the empathy, the engagement, the mental focus day to day, much less throughout the entire day. Much of our research has been able to show that your customer experience is directly related to the energy and emotional engagement of your employees at particular points in the day. We've done this in call centers. Number 3, you've got to be able to say that our products have the right features and offer the right benefits to really resolve the customer problems even better than what you've promised. And you can see the future development that's required to help customers with the problems they have now and in the future. And you know that they're going to encounter these in the future, so you start planning to really improve your product, to build this product roadmap right now. Number 4, you want to be able to know that you have the right policies in place that are clearly defined with processes that give direction to the step-by-step procedures for employees to deliver excellent service, and for customers to feel cared for, that their needs are anticipated and met and exceeded, and that doing business with us is easy. And finally, you want the customer to understand that you know where they are emotionally and mentally, and that you can take them down the path from where they are, having a problem of some sort in their life, to where they want or need to be, which is the solution you're providing. Do you know what they are likely to encounter in order to grow through this process? This is one thing that has really distinguished my career from other people out there. What I recognize is that the customer experience from the time of being a prospect to through buying the product, through using the product, through, disengaging the relationship or ending the relationship, that process is actually a learning process. Humans learn through experience. And so therefore, if you understand that you must move people through experiences so they learn about your products, your service, your brand, about who they are fundamentally as people, and what they can achieve, and what mark they can leave on the world, no matter what your product or service is, there's some element that you can incorporate from that perspective, and you move them from being who they thought they were to who they've desired to be. That's the path you take them down. So customer experience is really a learning experience. It's helping them grow to realize who they are and how they relate to the world around them. Now, even after I go through this with my clients or my prospects, there are still some business owners and some executives that protest. They'll say, hey, we know what to do. If we solve problems that our customers are having, we'll have happy customers. And those executives and those business owners just go out there and they try to fix things. I've seen it in Fortune 500 companies, and I've seen it in startups, everywhere in between as well. Even some are not open to doing surveys or analyzing online reviews. Think about that. They believe that if they can fix enough of the problems that are negative or causing negative experiences for their customers, that they'll automatically have happy, positive, raving fans as customers. What they don't realize is that solving problems only moves the customer to a neutral state. Our years of research prove this, that if you just fix the worst problems, it does not make the customer happy. It simply gives them what they feel they paid for, which is a neutral state. It's a fair exchange. There's no reason for the customer to brag about you because all you did was give them what they paid for. This is a critical error in most customer experience programs. For most executives and most business owners, they don't realize that they can't move beyond neutral just by doing what they've promised. Moving from a neutral to a positive state requires more than is expected or hoped for. You've got to deliver and go above and beyond what your company has promised in its marketing. Some of the patterns that we have found as we've analyzed companies across multiple industries, from hospitality to restaurants to live entertainment to technology providers to training companies and other consulting companies to financial services. We've worked in a variety of industries. We found over and over again that when you have customers who are in a negative state of mind, a negative emotion, they have a particular pattern versus those that are in neutral state versus those that are in positive state. So let me explain some of the differences that show you that fixing the problems will not cause a positive experience. So what happens a lot of times when you have a negative experience, the promises that you thought were made to you explicitly through the marketing or implicitly through statements that you interpreted in a particular way, they're just not fulfilled. Or as a customer, you feel that the staff is rude or they're mean. Maybe the core feature that you were looking for, one of those core features that you expected to work in a particular way, it's broken, it's not functioning. A typical example in hospitality is, when they've got the pool and someone comes to the hotel expecting there to be a pool, and the pool's under maintenance or it's broken. Or you get into the room and the bed linens are filthy, or there's stains in the carpet. That immediately sets up this negative experience. It's not even neutral, it's negative. They expect a clean, well-maintained room. Basic expectations are not even met. Issues often are not even resolved. They're just either ignored or the employees, the staff members, the management team says, we're not going to solve that. And one of the key things we find in negative experiences is that the person has to pay more money than they were expecting. More money than they've already laid out for the experience they thought they were buying. Now let's shift over and look at the neutral mindset. Look at this neutral state of mindset and culture. The customer will recognize that some of the promises were fulfilled and some were not. There's like this mental accounting that's going on where they say, yeah, you did well there or you did okay there, but you didn't do so well there. So they're adding it up and they're coming to like this balanced scorecard in their mind. Now, often we see that the staff is not mentioned, or if they are mentioned, they weren't friendly, but they weren't unfriendly. It's kind of a neutral state. There's often this mix of basic features that worked and didn't work. So some of the things worked, some things didn't work. Issues do get resolved, but it takes some effort on the part of the customer. And they're not necessarily happy about that, but they're happy that their issue was finally resolved. In most cases, when they give a neutral rating, or when they feel neutral about it, they're saying, I got what I paid for. Again, some of it might have been better or worse. That's not exactly what I was expecting, but a little bit better, a little bit worse. So mentally, they just kind of say, it was about what I paid for. So you can see how if you just fix the problems of a customer who's complaining about things being negative, if you just fix the problems, all you're doing is moving them to the neutral state because that's what they expected. To move to a positive state of emotion and of mindset, where they become raving fans, where they admire you and talk about you and tell their family and friends about you. You've got to meet their promises and exceed them. So the promises you make in marketing, they've got to be good enough in your marketing to win the customer over, the prospect to be a customer. But then you've got to go beyond that in delivery. Your staff is very friendly, very helpful. We see over and over again in the language that's used on these reviews or in surveys or in interviews, we find that the staff is it's the amplifier there, very friendly, very helpful. Basic features worked well, maybe even better than expected. Issues didn't occur, or if they did occur, they were resolved beyond expectations. The staff, the management team went above and beyond in resolving the issues. And fundamentally, we see that they become an advocate. Here's the key point. If you're one of these people that are thinking, if I just fix what's going wrong in my company, I'm going to have positive, glowing reviews. I'm going to have customers who become fans and advocates and admire my company. It's not going to happen. This takes a real shift of mindset and of culture within your organization. As an example, if it's okay for promises to be met or to let them slide, that's a mindset. Is it okay for staff to be unmemorable? In other words, they're not rude, but they're not really helpful or not really friendly enough to make an impression. Or should they stand out? Should they be the most helpful person that customer has seen that day? Should they be making a real difference in brightening the day of that customer? These are mindsets, and that's why they're cultural shifts in your organization. Once you can see the difference between the good and the bad, you can see what really can be fixed and what you need to do a mindset or a mind shift change. Now, to do this, the best way to do this is to study the feedback from your happy customers. Learn what you do well. Learn what they value. Your customers will show you the way to greater sales and profitability, higher satisfaction, and greater retention. Become absolutely clear about what your customers love and master doing those things well. Now take note here. I'm recommending that you learn what you do well, what you do with excellence, and what customers value. Those are two key pieces as we move forward with the Admiration Equation course. How can you do this? Well, let me give you 3 steps that are core fundamental steps if you want to do this, want to really move from a customer from a negative or neutral state to a positive state, and you want to do it strategically in your organization so it really shifts the mindset of your employees and your leadership, the culture of your organization. Step 1, collect feedback from your sources. Now, you don't need to collect every source right now, but you could start with even 20 pieces of feedback or 20 reviews or 20 surveys or 20 emails if that's all you have. If you're a small company just starting out or you don't have a lot of clients, you can start there. If you have a large company and you've got online reviews for products or services that you offer, use those to start with. The point being, start with what you have. And I just give a couple examples on screen here of, internal surveys, online reviews. So that would be like TripAdvisor, Yelp, or any of the other places that might be out there. We've done medical offices, hospitals, technology companies. Technology sometimes has online reviews. Tire manufacturers have online reviews for their products. You can go to retail stores, have online reviews for products or for the store itself. Call notes. So if you got a contact center or a call center, look at the notes that your people are keeping. Emails that you receive from the customers, or if you've got some secure messaging service like the financial services industries have, use those emails or use those messages and mine through them and understand what people are talking about. Chat sessions. So if you've got online chat, use the narratives that are going on there and understand what's happening. Social media comments. So you could use either social media comments about your company on your company's page or about the industry as a whole and really get an idea of what's happening out there, but focus primarily on what people are saying about you or to you. Now, I think the most missed ones are these last two, conversations. What in the world are your customers saying to your employees? What are the conversations that are going on? Teach your employees to listen actively, to take notes, to be aware of, to report back to you. And then nonverbal expressions, they're depending on the studies you read, but somewhere in the range of upwards of 93% of all communication is nonverbal, which means it's our tone of voice, it's our facial expressions, our body language. Take an example. You're not seeing me on screen here. So the tone of my voice and how I project myself emotionally is really what comes across and has an impact on you. And as a result of that impact, you're listening or you're tuning out. I know this, so I've got to be expressive in my voice. So you want to really think about, what can I do? Where can I get my first pieces of feedback? They exist somewhere. You've got to have something. Do you have any of these that I show on screen here? Which ones work for you best? Where do you have some, preferably in the customer's own language, so recorded or written down? Find even just 20 of them to start with. I'm aware there's someone that's watching this right now, maybe it's you, and they're saying, well, what if I don't have customer feedback? Doesn't that take expertise to write good questions and expensive technology to send out surveys and emails to people? Well, because you've signed up for this video series, I want you to succeed. I want to give you my $1 million survey. Now you may say, well, why do you call it the $1 million survey? Well, honestly, I could probably call this the $1 billion survey because I've honestly used these questions with companies and helped them generate billions of dollars in additional sales, making investments in their customer experience. And so I'm going to give you the exact survey questions that I use. Now, I might customize them for a particular client, but I'm going to give you the general structure for you to use for your own clients. Here's my $1 million survey, and you'll notice that none of these are questions. They're actually statements that people will simply indicate whether they completely agree, which is a 5, or completely disagree, which is a 1. There are years of research behind this. We've done this with Fortune 500 companies, use these same questions for them as well as for startups, and everywhere in between. I've used the answers to these questions to help generate hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue each year because we've innovated new products, new services. So I implore you to write this down, to do this. If you have a survey, look at these statements and see what you're missing. See if you can add them into your survey. You can email these to your customers. You can ask them, give a short introduction, a short opening that reminds them of the services they received from you and when that was, and then ask them to respond to these questions. So it could be something like, Dear Sally, Thank you for being our customer. We are striving to improve the experience and value we offer. We would deeply appreciate your response to the following statements so we can learn how to serve you or other customers better in the future. And then track their responses. Include a note that you may use their comments in your marketing material. Be sure to include that because I'm going to show you what you can do with that down the road. Now, let's dive into these questions a little bit more. Number 1, this was an excellent experience. Now, I'm not going to go into all the psychology behind this, but what we have learned over time is that if you make a statement, there's an intuitive reaction, this feeling that when people read that statement, they react to it no instantaneously, intuitively, yes or no. Is it a 1 or is it a 5 or is it somewhere in between? Do they completely agree? Do they completely disagree? That's why we use statements and not questions. Once you ask a question, you cause the brain to function differently. You actually shift the brain from the mode that it processes a statement to a mode that it starts seeking an answer. And so you move from this intuitive, emotion-based response to a logic-based response, which is non-emotional. It triggers rational thinking or reasoning, and you don't want that in your survey to get real results. Then there's statement number 2. This was an excellent value. Again, you're going to get a gut reaction, and most people will respond to that very quickly. Now, it doesn't matter right now what their answer is. Just get the answers. Statement number 3. Please describe your experience. And if you are using one of the software technologies like SurveyMonkey or some of the others I'll go through in a later one of these later videos, if you're using one of that, make sure you have a large open-ended space for that. Maybe it's 2,500 characters or 4,000 characters. That may seem like a lot to you, and it is actually quite a bit. But the point being here, you want them to talk about their experience without you asking specific questions. You want to see what they actually remember and what's meaningful and valuable to them. Don't guide them. Just give them these questions and see what happens. Okay, we just went through step 1. Now, step 2 is to separate the responses into ratings. And here's how I group them. And this is again unique to what we do as a company in our consulting practice, because we found over and over this is really what matters. Now, you may see there's some resemblance to Net Promoter Score if you're familiar with that concept, but we take it even further. Now, for the negatives, you can see that these are people who give a 1 or a 2 on experience, and they give a 1 or a 2 on value. So in other words here, if someone was to give a 3 on experience and a 1 on value, they would not be negative. Because what we're looking for is we're looking for those people who are giving really negative on both experience and value. Now let's go all the way to the positive side. The positive side, those customers have to give you a 5, a top score, on experience and on value. So you can see we're actually creating this polar opposite type of setting where we can see these people are really negative all the way around. These people are really positive all the way around. And then everyone else is neutral. Now, I do this because what this allows you to do is identify who are your raving fans, who absolutely love the way you did something, which is the experience, and they love the value that they received from it, and that's how meaningful it was to them. Step 3, read each comment and ask the following questions. What person, place, or thing is being admired? Of course, we're looking at the really positive responses. That's what I told you to look at first. What did the person or thing do, and how was the person, place, or thing described? So you're kind of now looking at who is it or what is it, what was done, what was the process that happened, and then you want to look at how did the customer feel? Where did they move from this place of A, I've got a problem, to B, C, D, etc.? Where did they move from emotionally and in their mindset? And they might say things like, I was expecting this, but I got this and it was amazing. I felt so rewarded. I felt so cared for. So look at these 3 questions and really consider that. Take your best results, your best surveys, and ask these questions. Track your answers. Now, you can ask fundamentally the same questions when you look at the negative surveys. And you can ask, what is it that people are seeing there? What are they talking about there? Now, I'm going to go through some examples for you to give you an idea of how I look at these. This is a TripAdvisor review. It's an actual review from TripAdvisor from a resort. So you can see the heading, beautiful. And you can see it's rated as a 5. Absolutely lovely. The staff were so friendly and helpful. Didn't matter who you asked or what you needed, they made every effort to help and were happy to do so. Views, pools, food, rooms, all excellent. The only possible shortcoming, beach is small and water is rough, as common to the area. But there was so much else that it was perfect. I would love to go back. So let's break this down. Absolutely lovely. I mean, just think about that. They're talking about how beautiful it is, how lovely it is right there in the first 3 words. Then they tell you the staff was so friendly and helpful. Now, so is an amplifying word, which means even if I didn't know that this was a 5-star review from the rating, I can see up there those little green dots, I would tell you that my experience, because they're saying it is the staff were so friendly and so helpful, that in fact, this is a 5-star review because they're mentioning the staff and then they're using amplifiers with positive words. Then they talk about how it didn't matter who you asked. So think about this. If they didn't matter who you asked, you've got a staff that is so well trained that they can answer fundamentally any question. They can go get it. They can go solve the problem. They make every effort to help, and we're happy to do so. So that's about the attitude. They're there to serve. They're there to make sure that whatever you need is done. And then they talk more about the facilities, so the views, the pool, the rooms, all of this. You can see how they're just having these amazing, immersive experiences. Now, they did say that, well, they had a shortcoming. The beach is small and water is rough. However, and this comes back to the experience, it's common to the area. So they realize that this is not a problem with the resort. It's just common to the area. And in fact, there was so much else that was perfect that they would even come back. So if you had a whole series of reviews that talked about how friendly your staff was or how helpful they were, the views, the pools, the rooms, those are the types of things you're looking for to say, wow, this is what people admire. Well, guess what? I'm going to show you in the next video what to do with this content. Let's look at another company. And this is actually a Yelp review for an auto detailing company. These guys did a fantastic job for exactly the price they quoted me. My leather seats were a disaster, and they look like new. They were easy to communicate with and went above and beyond. My car looks brand new. Couldn't be happier. Worth every penny. Again, the tone of this is one of amazement, of admiration. They're blown away that these guys did such a fantastic job for exactly the price they quoted. They said, look, my seats were a disaster. My seats were a mess. They probably had some type of expectation or maybe a little bit concerned that they were going to be told to have to pay more. It's between the lines there, if you read between the lines, that they specifically point out the exact price they were quoted. And yet their seats were a disaster. Now they look like new. There's this juxtaposition of this is where I was before and this is where I am now. Then they talk about how easy it was to communicate and that they went above and beyond. The car looks brand new. That's another expression of emotional expression of like, wow, look at the life I get back in my car. Couldn't be happier. Worth every penny. You can see there's excellence and there's value both rated right there. It's worth every penny. So if you had this auto detailing company and you went through and looked at a number of your reviews and you saw some of these same things about the exact price we're quoted for or how they moved from a disaster to something that looks like new and you couldn't be happier, those are things that you can really use as you move forward. You want other customers to see these because if you can do this consistently, these other customers or other prospects are going to absolutely love what you can do for them. I hope you're liking this. I'm going to go into a pizza shop now because I want to give you a breadth of examples so you can see how different examples might show up. And this is on TripAdvisor. You can see unreal. Now that could be positive or negative. Well, we know it's a 5-star review. Got there at 10:45 on a Friday, and there were 30-plus people in line. Let me pause here for a second. If I didn't know that this was a 5-star review, unreal in all caps, and that first line would have my stomach churning. Unreal. got there at 10:45 on a Friday, and there were 30 plus people in line, right? I'm kind of adding the emotion to it, but if you think about that, that could go either way. Now, as a clue, this is part of the reason that the technology today that analyzes this type of feedback, the text mining software, has challenges, because when it reads those two sentences and analyzes them through the algorithms, most often it would look at that and either neutralize it because it doesn't know what to do with it, or it would say it's negative. What you're seeing here is that a person is having this visceral reaction that they get there and they see there's this long line of people. And it's possible that, in the past they've seen long lines of people and it's not a good experience. They continue on. Wait was about 20 minutes. Place was small. Those two comments are also typically, by a software standard, would be recognized as negative statements. Food is unreal. All caps, amazing. There's obviously emphasis put on this. It's not until we get to that fifth sentence, I guess it is there, best pizza ever, bar none. Now you retranslate, you can say, oh, everything came before this is actually very positive. Family ran, so you get entertainment with your meal. Joey is the first person you see. I'll go back. Loved it. Okay, so like the first half of the review, you can see how it can be misleading. If you only read the one or two lines, you'd be like, uh-oh, what's wrong here? If you didn't have the star rating, you wouldn't know. If this were an email rather than an online review, and you were to read this email, you could immediately, if you don't have any context, you could immediately say, oh my gosh, this did not go well. What do we do to fix it? Here's the reality. As an expert reading this, I would say you don't need to fix anything. And I haven't been to this pizza shop, but I've read a lot of their reviews because I use them as a case study quite often. They're ranked as a #1 restaurant in the city that they're from. And there's a lot of reviews that talk about how long the lines are, how long the wait was. The place is small, but the food is so freaking awesome that people want to come back, and people do come back. If you start looking at this review and see this, you can say, wow, this is actually an amazing review, even though they got all these negatives. You see, this is why it's important, is because you don't need to be excellent at everything. You need to choose what you're excellent at. You need to master that, and the other things will happen. The next example is a virtual assistant service. I took this off of a website where they actually do ratings for virtual assistants. So you can see the overall ratings there. They're all 5 stars across the board. And the comment reads, I have come to really depend on my VA. She's become our point person for all customer inquiries. Our VA learned all of our CRM systems easily and even went on to continue to educate herself on other systems. She is a true star. I would be lost without her help each day. This is a phenomenal review because it is a virtual assistant is kind of like a consultant from a perspective. They actually do things for you, and they do it remotely, so they're often not in the area. They could be in a different city than you are. But they're handling all these calls. They're learning the CRM systems. You can see this particular person is very good at what she does. And she's willing to learn and to grow. And so if you were looking for a virtual assistant or someone to help you out, this would be a great candidate for you if this is what you wanted. If you wanted someone who could engage with the customer. Now, she may not have skill sets around building websites. I don't know. I didn't see that. But if she's really good at dealing with customers, really good at handling CRM systems, really good at getting things done, this would be the person to go to. And again, she doesn't have to be excellent in everything. She has to be excellent at those things that she's trying to attract customers for. Let's turn our attention to a bank now. This was a Yelp review. This bank has the best concierge type service of any bank I've ever had an account with. Everyone is treated equal at Avenue. Each person upon opening an account is assigned a personal banker. There is no monthly account fees and no ATM fees. If you bank with Avenue, you are treated like a VIP whether you have $3 or $3 million in your account. Avenue Bank takes customer service to the very next level. You can see that this review, a few years old, actually provided some really interesting insights. How this person who probably doesn't have a lot of money based on their comments of $3 versus $3 million in their account, you can see that this person felt like they were treated as a VIP. They're treated equally as other people are. And so look at this as an example of what a bank could be. It's fascinating to look at this because they really admire this. And I know people actually did bank with this and they love this. Their comments were mirrors of what we're seeing here in this review. So now that we've gone through some examples and I've taken you through different industries, different types of companies, what do your customers admire about your company? Dive into that. Really think about that. Are you consistently receiving top scores on your surveys or on your online reviews on Yelp, TripAdvisor, whatever site it is that people go to when they want to post a review about your company? Can you do more of those things that they talk about? Can you do them more consistently? What are you promising your prospects? Are you promising your prospects what your customers already admire? In other words, are you marketing the stuff that you already do well, that your customers already value, or are you marketing something else that you can't deliver upon? And is that why you're getting poor reviews or poor ratings on your customer service surveys? Can you consistently deliver what your customers admire? Now, I want to give you an example of how to really look at this and think about this and say, okay, if I know my customers admire this, what would I do with this? And I'm going to introduce this idea now, but it's going to lead us into the next video. So be sure, if you haven't signed up yet, you want to sign up for the next video at the URL below. You want to be able to get into the list so that you receive these videos because they're going to be emailed to you so you can watch them wherever you are, whenever you receive it. Let's go back to the auto detailing company. It's the same review we had before. These guys did a fantastic job for exactly the price they quoted me, etc. Right? Now, here's the promise that this auto detailing company made on their website. We can make tired, old, and challenged paint look great again without a trip to the body shop. Now, that's a pretty darn good promise, especially if you look at what they promise actually mirrors to some extent what you see in this particular review. If you read other reviews from the same auto detailing company, you'll see that they talk about paint, how well the paint has been refurbished and looks better now, looks like brand new. And so their promise is actually very good. They tapped into the idea that they make cars look great again. They could up-level it. They could enhance their website. I actually went to their website and reviewed it. But remember how the customer mentioned how great the team was? This was not on their website. They didn't talk about their service. And in fact, we see this in a lot of companies where it is the people, the service providers, the employees that make the difference in a 5-star review versus a 3-star review. And yet nowhere on the website, nowhere in the marketing materials do companies actually mention the employees and the service that they provide. So coming back to this example, they did a pretty good job. Compared to their competition, they are way ahead. I looked at their competitors' pages, and they're nothing like it. Their marketing materials, nothing like this. One competitor actually promises to come to you because they're mobile, but they just share the features and no real benefits of the service. Well, what's the benefit of you coming to me? They assume the customer's going to know, but why not point that out? Why not point out why people are giving you positive reviews because you come to them? It didn't waste their time, or they did it while I was at work, or I was in the grocery store and they cleaned my car. I don't know what it is, right? But whatever the example is. Most other competitors don't even have a website. In fact, if you understand, if you're a small business, a local business, a startup, over 50% of small businesses do not have a website. Many of them are not actively managing their Yelp page. They may not have even claimed a page on Yelp or on Google My Business. Their profiles haven't been filled out. They're just left out there where people can actually put reviews, but they're not managing it. They're not checking on it. They're not marketing through it. They're not using it. Many of them don't even have a Facebook page, which is free to use. So the real value shows up when you link your customer behaviors with your customer experiences. Look at what your customers admire and identify where you are promising the wrong thing, or maybe where you're missing out and not promising at all. Then based on what your customers admire, rewrite your marketing promise to your prospects and post it below. Give us an example in the commentary, in the forum below this video. Actually post your updated promise or what you might move it to based on what your customers are saying they admire about you, what you do well consistently. Rewrite your marketing promise. Share your original promise so that those of us that are watching this can actually see what it was before and what it is after, to see how you made a change to it. Go ahead, take that on. If you're really committed to action, start reaching out to prospects via phone or email or even social media with your new promise and test to see how it works. And then tell us your results in the comments below as well. For an example, Hotels that are competing on best rate or free breakfast. How many of those do you see? Nearly every hotel down the highway. Free breakfast, free cable, best rate, whatever. They all say it. But these don't drive excellent reviews. I know because I've studied the hotel industry. I ran the customer experience department for a large hotel company. This does not drive 5-star reviews. What is a 5-star review? Our staff is extremely attentive and very helpful. The reviews talk about very friendly, very helpful. So why don't you have a promise like, our staff is extremely attentive and very helpful? Or, let our staff treat you to true Southern hospitality. I happen to live in Nashville, so I can say that. Most often on websites like hotel websites, there's no picture or mention of the staff. Even 4- and 5-star hotels where the very rating is based on the level of service, they seldom make a promise of the care that their staff will provide. They show no pictures of staff caring for guests. None of it. We've worked with clients in the hospitality industry who help them to understand that if you shift, if you show what you're promising, it will change your results. It'll change the people that are the prospects that are coming to you. Think about your promise. Think about what the customers that you have, what they love, what they admire about you. Go do your research. Look at your promise and see where it's on and where it's not. And then post it below. Post your updated promise below. I promised you that I was going to give you 10 measurable customer behaviors that you can track and link to your investments or your changes in customer experience. And these are 10 that nearly every company has and can track or measure. In fact, for one Fortune 500 company, we identified 67 different behaviors that they could track if they wanted to. Let's dive through these really quickly. Under receipt, you've got 3 different categories. Receipt, so what happens at the time of purchase. Relationship, what happens in the relationship long term. And reputation, how can a better reputation actually benefit you? As we dive into under receipt, pay a premium. You know that customers will pay higher prices if they perceive a higher value, if they have a better experience. In fact, in one study, 60% of the people that looked at the lowest price actually opted for a higher price option. Think about purchasing more per transaction. This can happen in a couple of ways. So first and foremost, like if you're at a restaurant, did you buy an appetizer? Did you buy dessert? Or think about it this way. Did you bring people with you? Because now there's more per transaction. Each table has more people there. Or let's look at transacting more frequently. Do you go back more often? Do you replace other alternatives or competitive products and services with this particular brand or this particular company? Now, if you turn your attention to relationship, deepening in the product family, what we mean by that is that they will actually try other options that are available to them from your company that are in the same product family. So like add-ons to your core products, your service offering. They may even broaden to other products. So they trust you to bring the same value and quality to other products. Look at Apple as an example. Apple started out as a computer company. Now they have the iPods, the iPhones, the tablets, the iPads. They have branched out extensively. When you consider how your customers might stay longer, by that we mean they don't cancel or terminate their relationship, or they come back on a repeated basis for a longer period of time. They keep that relationship with you alive for a longer period of time. You don't have to go out and find new customers to replace them. Now, for those customers that did leave, oftentimes if you do it right, you can recover them. You can have them come back. They can become your customers again, no matter what the reason they left. They begin to really appreciate the value, the experience that you have, and they'll decide to come back. And one of the last things we talk about in the relationship side is that if you've got a good relationship with your customers, you can make affiliate offers. You can make offers from other companies, other products that are related, but not competitive to your product. And you can earn a premium or a commission off of those products and those sales. And then finally, we turn to reputation. Under reputation, you can see that your customers are more likely to recommend others when they have a great experience. And you can track that. You can see that your recommendations are actually going up. And you can also see that they might write more reviews. And those online reviews are actually very powerful because 85 to 90% of people will actually go online when they're looking for a product or service, read up to 5 or 6 reviews to get a feeling for what's happening and if they want to be part of this or not. And as a result of that, they make a purchase or they decide not to purchase. So those online reviews, the reputation you have with your existing customers is huge in attracting new customers. They are more likely, prospects are more likely to believe online reviews of other customers that they don't even know, complete strangers, versus believing your marketing content. Here's what I want to challenge you with. I want you to identify what your customers admire. Then look at what you promise. Rewrite your promise for your prospects. Post it below with your current promise. So put your current promise as well as your new promise based on your on understanding what your customers admire. And then bonus, I want you to reach out to prospects and test your new promise and earn new business today. Why am I challenging you on this? Because if you take action on what you've just learned, you can make money today. And I want to prove it's possible to you by giving you these steps to follow. Go out there and figure out what is it your customers admire. What are the 5-star reviews telling you? Look at your promise. Are you promising the right things? Are you promising what you do well and what's on your 5-star reviews or not? If not, then change it. Rewrite it. Post it here so we can see it, so we can comment on it, maybe give some suggestions even. But most importantly, go out there and test it on prospects. Try to use it to see if it's going to generate more business for you than ever before. We all have just a handful of moments in life. We must not waste the lives of our customers. We must give them experiences that change the trajectory of their lives. When I was laying there in that hotel room, in that bed, I realized that if I wake up, I will only have a limited number of moments to be with my girls and with my wife, and I don't know how long that's going to be. I will only have a limited amount of time to change the trajectory of human history for the better, whatever part I play in that. And I know that these moments are precious, and I don't know how many I have. A few years ago, I learned that Americans and Europeans spend about 3 years of their lives waiting in lines, waiting on the phone for service, waiting to be helped. 3 years of their lives are lost moment by moment. 3 years that they could have had back. And if we give it to them to become someone more, to do something greater, to give something better to the world, we have that power in customer experiences. You see, I believe our work in customer experience creates a ripple effect in the moment and across the day. We have a tremendous opportunity and responsibility to elevate our companies, our products, and our experiences, because the experiences our customers have in a moment, they engage with us, and then the ripple that moment creates throughout the day will become how they define the day as part of their lives. Will it be the best day they ever had? Will it be the worst day they ever had? Will it even be remembered? We are all customers. We're all users of products and services every day. It is only 1 or 2 generations ago, my parents and grandparents, maybe yours as well, they were self-sufficient in so many different ways. They did not have to be customers in every aspect of their lives. Even for the basics, they may have lived in a rural community and had a pump to supply their water, or had a garden, or had chickens as a supply of food. They may have had tools and access to lumber that they could cut their own trees down and build things that they wanted to. They may have been able to make their own clothes if needed. They did not live in a connected world with 24/7 access to anything they wanted. If you think about it, really, in just the last 20 years, we have entered into an age where we are customers 24/7, 365. The necessities of life, like food, air conditioning, water, housing, are all provided by companies for us. The information and entertainment that flows through our TVs, computers, and phones is always on. It's always present. The clothes we wear, the bed we sleep in, the vehicle we're transported in, everything is made or provided by a company. We are now 24/7, 365 customers. To me, this is actually a very powerful and potent realization. because this elevates the opportunity we have in customer experience as providers of 24/7, 365 service. What can we do in this moment to change the lives of our customers forever? We are constantly present in the lives of our customers, and we have an opportunity to help them change the trajectory of their life, and as a result, with that ripple effect, to change the trajectory of human history. We have never had this power and this potential in the past that we have today. So again, I encourage you, I implore you, take on this challenge. Identify what your customers admire. Look at what you promise. Rewrite your promise to your prospects and post it below with your current promise. Then reach out to new prospects. Make some money doing this today. Make some real change in your business and in your life by taking action on what we've laid out here. I challenge you to do this because you are going to change lives and you're going to change the course of human history by doing this. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to increase your sales and reduce your marketing expenses with your customer feedback. Go sign up for the videos if you haven't yet to make sure you get into the next video. Enroll for the rest of the videos at www.admirationequation.com. And remember, comment below this video, write your new promise on what your customers admire. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.